Microphone check. And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all you beautiful people and tree lovers out there. My name's Matt Latham. I'm a board certified master arborist and supposedly some sort of tree expert, I guess. And we've got with us one of my good friends, Mr. Michael Gabrielse. He is just an awesome stand-up dude, first and foremost. That's the most important part. Is I don't care how good you are at trees. If you're a terrible human, that's not good in my book.
So, see how good I am today. Y'all be
one thing I love about Michael, he's an honest guy. He's a great arborist and somebody that we connected actually at ASCA Consulting Academy.
Year and a half ago.
Turns out, year and a half ago. Yeah, over in San Antonio, Texas. And, you know, we really hit it off. And it turns out he's right in my backyard or maybe front yard up north in Conroe.
We're both in Houston, but an hour and 40 minutes apart.
Both in Houston. And it turns out he's just an awesome guy, tree lover, certified arborist, soon to be registered consulting arborist, graduate of Consulting Academy, degreed urban forester, you name it, he's done it. And while he doesn't actually perform tree work, he is very much familiar with tree work and frequently prescribes it. So really excited to have him on with us. Did I miss anything, Michael? I think, Tree Risk Assessment Qualified. So you understand how trees work and why they fall and don't fall, right?
Yep. And I dabble in the expert witness game and
oh yeah,
get to still keep my forestry background and do a few forest management, wildlife management stuff for landowners, but that's pretty rare.
So a jack of all trades and a master of one, I think, maybe two. Yeah. You're a Christ follower too, so that's the most important one. Is where are your priorities? And I know some of y'all might disagree, but that's okay. We believe in objective morality, and people are good in our books, so that's a beautiful thing. All right, so we are starting today. We wanted to do things a little bit different because we trees are seasonal. Things change as the seasons change. And so one thing that we've really wanted to do is to come on and actually give you kind of more of an educational moment, if you will. And so, Michael and I were talking and we both agreed this would be awesome to have you come on because you are, from what I understand, very pro some of the things that I do, which is more digital and remote consulting. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that, kind of what we do and are able to do from a digital standpoint, what our limitations are, and, how we need to deal with those things. Because let's face it, you guys, after 2020, everything changed. The whole stinking world changed. Maybe it's for the better in your book, maybe it's for the worse, but either way, it's undeniable, things changed. And what I realized very quickly is that, a lot of us decided, hey, we don't necessarily have to be there in person to be a good friend or a good neighbor or a good doctor for that matter. Y'all all heard of telemedicine. And what I decided to do a long time ago was start a little company called Arborist on Demand, where essentially what we do is telemedicine for trees. And it's actually become somewhat of a contentious argument, a conversation, I should say, within the arborist community and specifically within the consulting guys, right? And I'm actually really excited because I want to kind of pick your brain, Michael.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of remote tools now that weren't available before as well, though.
There really are. And you got to be a part of a conversation that my stupid butt did not show up for. I didn't even know it was going on. I didn't get that email, or I didn't pay attention anyways. But they within ASCA. Now, for those of you that don't know, ASCA is the American Society of Consulting Arborists, right?
Top tier.
And what's that?
Top tier.
Yeah, top tier. These are the guys that literally write the book. These are the guys or the books, I should say. And we have these conversations about some of the really, really technical sides of tree care, because let's face it, trees can fall on houses. Somebody needs to know what we got here. Yeah, Guide to Professional Consulting Practice. And that is a wonderful book, by the way. I've learned so much from that and modeled my business after a lot of the things I learned in that book. And that's when we went through Consulting Academy. We discussed these things. But Michael was a part of this, let's call it a town hall, if you will, where they talked about specific, and I'm so sad I missed this. So I really want to know your opinion on the matter, but they talked about digital tree consulting. What does that mean? What does that look like? Is it viable? And tell me what you told me, because you told me something really interesting direct from the president of ASCA.
Yeah, the consensus ultimately is let the market decide.
Yeah.
Also, the reality that technology is moving at a pace that can leave us behind if we don't adapt to a degree. We're in Texas and it's grown a ton. Traffic's also grown a ton. So, it's almost just good practice for any consultant and professional to garner as much information as possible. I'm usually on the county appraisal website, figuring out what parcel it is, figuring out the acreage, getting Google Earth, looking at Google Earth Pro historical images, seeing if there's historical context on the site, doing Google Street View if it's available. If it's a company, looking up their pictures to see if there's pictures of the campus or whatever. Even before I send a bid or visit the site to create a bid, obviously, if it's an hour to drive somewhere, I'm burning a quarter of my day just there and back. And I don't like burning my day when I'm not making money. So it's really important to leverage what we have. And so the remote stuff has become part and parcel to just not wasting time. And so there's another benefit to it. We'll roll into that. But I want to get into our topic, and then we'll roll into remote consulting and the implications, because the topic kind of segues into it. But ultimately, these tools are available to us. Why would we not use them? And then, competent arborists, while there's a lot of them, the good guys are usually pretty humble, and they're not just the common guy. Guys are limited by their experience, by their proficiencies, but they're also limited by money and their need for money. So there's a lot of bias out there, and to get an unbiased opinion is hard to do. You usually have to pay pretty substantial money for it, and the guys who are doing unbiased opinion, they're usually making pretty good money because they're doing expert stuff. So they're not really available to residential very often. I don't do residential. I avoid it like the plague, unless it's over $1 million property. Like if you're a normal property, I'm not interested in working for you because I have other things to do. And
you got a family to feed.
Yeah. So that's kind of the reality of it. There's a lot of dudes that are competent. They're just not in the residential sphere. So let's get into our topic. I'll introduce it. It's called Defining the Assignment. This is huge in ASCA, in the consulting world, but how to record my poodle is barking.
You got your sidekicks there.
How to record information for a quality tree question. So Matt's going to guide us through this topic, and I'll be I'm going to go through some topics with him. Give me like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're good. I hear the sidekicks going. You're all good, man. And maybe I would add maybe one thing to those limitations, which is essentially geography. And so, I was just saying I would add maybe one limitation to that is like geography. Is straight up, where are you? And you and I both know not all arborists are created equal. Most of them, in my experience, excuse my language here, suck. That's a technical term, I believe.
Well, an arborists aren't created. I mean, it takes time and experience and connection with other arborists. If you've never been challenged in this field, you're not learning new information that makes you question some things occasionally, you're probably not on a great path.
Yeah.
But let's get into defining the assignment and basically how to record information for a quality tree question. This is going to be pertinent to anybody who posts on Matt's ASCA Arborist. But it's also a way of thinking and communicating. If you're paying good money, you want your service provider to give you as much as they possibly can when they get there. It could be as simple as explaining the situation more clearly so they know what tools to bring. Because if they're not prepared or don't bring the tools, there might be some information that they might not glean otherwise. But anyway, so what you put in affects what you get out, and the higher quality information begets more and higher quality advice. We'll probably start with photos. Photography. Yeah. Photography's also been commoditized. Matt, Matt's commoditizing arboriculture information, but quality photography's been commoditized as well. We have amazing capabilities for video and photo. There's a few things. The first is context, seeing what's around the tree. There may be more underground than above ground for the tree. So we want to see the ground around the tree. We want to see, is there undulations? And if you can't really, in a 2D picture, it's hard sometimes to see those undulations. So if there are, you want to highlight those somehow in the angle of the photo. I use an app on my phone called So Locator. I think it's 99 cents. The Pro Pack's $5.99. And when you take a photo, you can label the photo by project name, its date stamped, time stamped, and you can add a description to the photo. Also, if you wait long enough, your phone it'll put a WGS 84, which is standard GPS coordinates, on the picture, along with the azimuth, the direction that you're taking the photo. That helps a ton, because then you know the aspect of where's the sun for this tree. You can look up the prevailing winds for the area. All those things can affect your input on the tree. Where's the house relative to the tree? Obviously, we're not giving addresses here on Ask an Arborist. So where's the house relative to the tree? You wouldn't want to put the coordinates, but you could put the azimuth,
or at least the zip code, maybe the general location.
Another thing with this is things that you guys are taking pictures of and asking about sometimes are contentious. And if contentious things turn into bigger things, or even if it's just tree care over a period of time, because trees are long-lived things, unless it's like a water oak, then it's not as long-lived. But you can look over time and have that information cataloged. Anything happens to your tree, you can go, look, as of this date, this is what it looked like. If you're cataloging over time, try to take from the same position as well. But anyway, that's kind of the context of it. We want to see what's on the ground. We want to see other things that are maybe competing in the aerial space. Tree canopies will compete for sunlight, and they could shelter each other too. So there's positives and negatives that could exist based on what's around vertically, but also the main thing is the ground. If there's been, let's see, what should be in focus?
That's a great question. Yeah, like different angles, what are the parts of the tree that we want to focus on, things like that. Tell me a little bit about that, because that's humble opinion, really important, is getting that good context through the focus. Is that helps us to understand the tree a little bit.
So your specific concern should be visible, right? They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. A good picture's worth 1,000 words, but honestly, you should be able to communicate more concisely than that. Each picture should communicate something, and there should be a primary thing it's communicating, right? This is the tree in its context. This is the problem I'm specifically concerned about. The concern should be visible. If you can provide multiple angles of the concern, that would be ideal. If it's related to like tree form, trimming, clearance, or concerns about the weight of the tree or a power line problem, we've seen many of those. If it has to do with that, you want to get multiple angles, so that it can be ascertained what kind of forces are on this tree, where the weaknesses might be, and how it might interplay. Obviously, from a risk assessment standpoint, I'd be really reluctant to do risk assessments remotely, but you can get an indicator of, hey, this is an imminent concern. Hey, this is a serious concern and you should restrict access immediately. Or, hey, you just probably need to get a professional out there on the ground to give you some possibilities. This tree maybe could be cabled and braced. This tree might need some reduction pruning. We can ascertain the categorization remotely very easily with good pictures. The actual specifics of, okay, you're going to need this size cable and brace, and this is where it'll be. Yeah, that's probably more of an in-person thing, but you certainly could go, you're probably going to need 4 or 5 cables from this limb to this limb and this limb to this limb. You're probably going to want bracing about this high in the tree. That seems like it's a viable option. All that stuff can be ascertained. Then your actual practicing arborist is hopefully going to follow the ANSI standards on that, and be able to take that basic information up front, and it helps guide them.
I'll give you an example too. Is we've had several questions in the Ask an Arborist group. Is this tree safe? Well, that's a great question, but here's what I can say. You got a lot of decay in that, and your house is within contact. If the tree falls and it falls in the right direction, yes, it will strike the house. What are the consequences? That depends. And we've had several people where I recommended, I said, hey, that to me, just looking at this on a digital basis, I would not want to sleep under there. I would not want my family under that tree. And most of the time, by the way, they came back. There were 4 instances I can think of offhand, specific instances. And they came back and said, great decision. They cut it down. It's completely decayed internally and externally. And we said, thank God we made that decision.
Our level of alarm can be ascertained by pictures, right? But an actual assessment of risk should not be done remotely.
Yeah. And you and I agree on that. As tree risk assessments, we can give you a basic overview. We can't give you the specifics because
there's a few that are obvious. It's like, take it
down.
There's
a few that are like,
restrict access ASAP.
Don't sit under there ever.
Some other things with photos to capture before we move on to the next topic. You've got irrigation, construction, patios, pools, that kind of stuff. New sidewalks from the city, because they're known for doing it right. Competition with other species or new plants, even recent changes or any disturbances to the site should be included in your description for your question. Especially if it's been resodded and it looks beautiful, if it's not obvious that that's a new sidewalk or that's a new patio, or we've recently installed a bunch of plants within the root zone of that tree, you should tell us. Why? Because it will impact the tree and it will impact our opinions.
Well, I don't know about you, but like oftentimes I will ask the client, did anything change here? Has anything that could have happened, construction, et cetera, the answer is no. And then you probe a little deeper. Have you done any landscaping? Have you done it? Oh yeah. Well, we had this tree ring put in. So when you're thinking about that, it's really important because that really helps us as the practitioners to be a better arborist to you, is get creative in your head about it. Could anything have affected that? Did you have the kids running around playing football for 3
kind of
weeks in a row?
forensics.
It is, and a lot of that's on us as the professionals, right?
But remotely, you can't just walk around,
Right.
tape the scene and go NCIS on them. You're remote. You're stuck with what you're given, and so your site understanding. Here's a little checklist that I think you should always think about as a homeowner. We're focused on homeowners for now, unless the questions are non-homeowner. But drainage. It's important to understand the soil, including the drainage. If the soil's changed recently, if slopes have changed recently, if something's been burned up and it's directed a different way, if there's a new French drain or something like that, changing kind of the water table or how long water ponds, those things matter. Irrigation. Any tree professional should know something about irrigation. The CH751 key, like you don't have to be an installer or a licensed irrigator. It is regulated in Texas. It's licensed.
Unlike tree care.
And so, because water and backflow and it's kind of a big deal societally. But
absolutely,
so many get this wrong. Trees and grass compete.
Yes.
If you're watering for grass, what you're doing is more frequent, less duration. What is that doing? You're trying to soak the first 2 inches. That's it. Well, tree roots are probably in the first 2 feet, right? 1.5 feet.
18 inches, I think, is the
number.
number.
1.5 feet. Unless it's a pine, then it's a little different. But that's a 10x difference. You're only getting the top 10th. Well, you're training the tree to put all its fibrous roots at the
very surface level.
And if you don't have a mulch ring, especially, this is super problematic. You are training the tree to be more susceptible to drought.
Yes. And more susceptible to fungal pathogens too, because all of that constant irrigation, you're continuing to create a perfect breeding ground for fungal pathogens. Some of those are the good guys. That's okay. Some of those are the ones that'll actually consume the tree's woody tissue and cause it to be structurally weak and fall over.
So in Texas, technically, to become a licensed irrigator, part of the exam is you have to have your trees and your grasses on separate stations. They still install them where they don't have irrigation for the trees, really. They just do grass only. But people are like, oh, my trees have irrigation. No, your trees don't. Your grass does. So moving on. But
no, you're absolutely
a big topic. And certainly if you've trenched irrigation in recently, we definitely want to know. We'll probably see it though. We'll probably see it. Sun and shade. We talked about shade tolerance. That's kind of the term, shade tolerance. Sometimes you see little graphical bar if you go to the nursery and how much sun does this tree need, or it'll say X number of hours, or it'll be words. Full sun, shade, it's shade tolerance. Basically, in silvicultural dynamics, silviculture is just study of forest dynamics. Certain trees are upper canopy, certain trees are mid-story, certain trees are understory, and that's just their niche, right? Also from a successionary standpoint, in the maturity of a forest, different topic. But you want to understand these things, because some of these trees, while you see mature trees on their own, and they're doing just fine, they're so mature that they kind of can give themselves some shade, right? They may have enough water that they can really kind of just protect themselves. But when they're young, they may not have that vigor to protect themselves, and they may be a species that is used to growing in groves, or is used to being kind of a successionary species where they're not the pioneer species. They're not the species that starts the place getting wooded. They're the species that ultimately takes over. They're more hardy, but they're not as vigorous at first. Well, if that thing's exposed to full sun during its youth, it's just going to get hammered down. It's just going to get hammered down.
Well, and I love that quote from Dr. Shigo. Dr. Alex Shigo was researcher in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. Great guy. They call him the father of modern arboriculture. He used to go around saying at his speeches, I never got to attend one, by the way, but I've heard stories and read books. And he used to say that there's the three most important things to being a great arborist is number one, know your tree. Number two, know your tree. Number three, know your tree. And man, it's so true. It's like, I'm not going to put a lace bark Japanese maple, or not a lace bark, but a Crimson Queen Japanese maple that requires full shade. I'm not going to set that in the heat of Houston, Texas, out in the middle of the sun where it's just going to get beat down constantly. That's not a recipe for success. And it goes with any species.
Well, there's a couple more things I like to look for inside understanding. These are more of damage focus. One in the historical kind of context is the prior work. Obviously, we've kind of talked about that. Guys, if you're going to have to impact a tree, impact it once and make it a clean, nice cut. If there's going to be a change in pH, like you're going to be liming the soil and stabilizing for some, something poured concrete or something structural, have them not only cut the roots clean, put a polyethylene barrier in there right away to retain moisture, but also as a barrier for fibrous roots getting to that change in pH stuff. So even if you're doing a patio, also from a patio standpoint, if you're putting in piers, get a probe, check for big roots first. You might be able to just shift it 6 inches and miss that big root with your 6x6 or 4x6 piling or your sono tube.
Michael, are you familiar with GPR for trees? There's a couple of companies making ground penetrating radar. It's $40,000-$50,000 for the technology. I'm not there yet. I haven't gotten that. One day I would hope to.
Engineers have them.
Yeah, and universities have the research
yeah, you can rent them. That's more of a high-end construction, individual tree basis kind of protection.
But even with a simple soil probe, you can start to get an idea of where the roots are at.
Yeah,
what you
I've mapped roots with just a soil probe.
Yeah, it's very possible.
We've adjusted pilings for canopies at a 5-star restaurant, I love it, before it got built, and they're still there. So the other kind of real concern here, you should know if there's been parking under that tree, whether it's parking a trailer that you're not using or parking your truck, or anytime somebody comes over to work on your fence, they park there. We should know about it.
Yeah.
That is permanent compaction. Not permanent, but for the sake of the context of the immediate.
Until it gets amended, it's permanent.
Yeah. It pretty much is. And then if there's been any removal of other trees, there's a lot of effects to the remaining trees. And then, for goodness sake, any use of chemicals, good or bad, we don't care. We want to know. Any use of chemicals. Which ones, when, where, and maybe who did it. If it's True Green, we know it's bad. No.
You said it, not me. I'm not getting sued today.
We're focused on trees. We're not focused on grass. They can make things look super lush. I'm not bashing them.
Let me add to that too, because I asked the question so many times. Have you ever used herbicide on your? No. Okay. Have you ever used weed and feed on your lawn? Oh yeah, every spring, every fall, every whatever.
I swear by it. I mean, it does such great grass.
But y'all don't understand that has poison. That has the broadleaf killer. Guess what's in the air? That's a broadleaf tree.
You're killing the biological mutual benefit down there in the roots, and all those fibrous roots and stuff. It's really interesting. The new air conditioning units, they're not like the regular radiator look. They're actually like lines with fuzzies. Like it looks like a little pipe cleaner, right? A big one. That's some of them look like that now. Those are like fine root hairs. Like you get more surface area with all those fine root hairs.
Yep.
But that's what suffers in compaction. That's what suffers with the beneficial bacteria mycorrhizae combination when you use chemicals as well. So compaction, chemicals, we want to know, and that's not going to be that's kind of the limitation with photography. That's not always going to be obvious.
That's something so you consult with us, whether it's through Ask an Arborist, Arborist on Demand, or whatever. these things we need to know as professionals, because that's going to impact our analysis, that's going to impact our prescription and our diagnosis, and all of these things matter. And most of the time it's so benign, you don't think about it. You go to your grocery store, your department store, whatever, your home supply store, go to Home Depot or Lowe's, and you get a bag and it's $20. It's, who cares? But it's, the reality of the matter is those things in there can have a drastic effect, not only on the tree, but on everything ecologically surrounding that tree that impacts that tree.
You have to make a decision. Are you going natural or are you going chemical?
Yeah.
Because you use one round of weed and feed.
Mm-hmm.
You've inoculated the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or you fight the good fight for a little while and spend a little bit more up front, and then all of a sudden you have a higher quality where it is still good for grass. For the most part, you might need to trim your tree and not have too much density. HOAs, we'll probably talk about that another day. But anyway, yeah. So I guess, long story short, there's commoditization of arboriculture through remote consulting.
Yeah.
But we're kind of limited based on the information given. Not everything's going to be self-evident. There is, as you know, some of our colleagues in this forum have said, there's nothing like your local arborist, your on-site arborist. It's true. There are some things that a competent on-site arborist can provide that a competent remote arborist might not be able to. However, I would take a competent remote arborist over a non-competent arborist on site any stinking day. So another thing is, well, we'll get into benefits here, but the limitations. There's no laboratory. There's an inability to directly measure decay. There's photo limitation on tree structure for sure. Although I guess you could use your iPhone Pro and make a whole 3D scan of the whole thing if you wanted.
We're working on that.
Yeah, I know.
Working on that. Yes, sir.
And no soil analysis, unless you do those things in advance, which would be cool. You could take a soil sample and have kind of a picture of it or something like that, or break it down, or
and you say those are limitations, but what I've found too is I can actually instruct you on how to take a proper soil analysis. Ooh, I love that. I can actually tell you, hey, here's where you need to send that sample off. Here's how you take the sample. Here's what parts of the soil need to be included in that sample. You want to do a composite analysis, et cetera,
your local ag extension would be beneficial for that. Now, think the time frame of what people want input for. Usually this it's not reasonable, right? But
that's true.
Between an arborist consult with somebody like Matt and having the professional come out, you may find that based on the information you're getting from the remote consult, you need to do more investigative information to provide the next guy not only the direction Matt's given, but the information that Matt says would be beneficial to give as well. So just like telemedicine, high quality information shared, like history of your health report, right? It can yield more confident reporting by the arborist. Most tree problems, they can be diagnosed remotely. Honestly, most problems can be diagnosed remotely, especially if you're providing, this is the region, and you're providing good context, and you're letting us know some of the history. Most things, I'm not going to give a percentage, but a very high percentage. Everybody thinks their situation's special, but trees are trees, and there's a lot of and a competent arborist has probably seen it.
Yeah. Well, and there's that debate about, the competent digital remote arborist versus the maybe competent, maybe not so competent. And that's what I found. And that's part of why I started Arborist on Demand, is because like you said at the beginning, drive time, that is wasted time. Now I'm going to be hitting our, automobile university. I'm going to be learning as I go to your job site if I'm doing an on-site inspection of your trees. But the reality of the matter is, I know things that maybe your arborist on site who doesn't have the experience that I have, who only grew up learning from a tree cutter or a tree remover, maybe he's a great tree climber and tree feller, but maybe has no idea how to diagnose Ganoderma or armillaria or detect decay inside of the tree.
That's a good point. We're going into winter. So yeah, but again, I want to say you might get a good action plan. I'd rather have a competent arborist remotely than a non-competent or inexperienced or very biased arborist in person. Also, it's like getting an opinion from a mechanic before you get it repaired at the dealership. You know, like they get a second opinion, and yeah, okay, they're going to charge you $100, $150 to get that opinion, but you're about to spend how. And if they diagnose it differently, what if they say you need a new transmission and all it is a solenoid?
Yeah. Well, and
that's a huge delta.
We were talking about this earlier too, is like the person that's selling you the work that, you know, what's that old saying is like, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And tree cutters, tree removers. Somebody said like 70% of our industry is tree murderers, right? And so like you and I know what that means, is they're not maybe... That's maybe, I know that's a dirty expression, but
look, we vultures are protected for a reason. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
You don't go shooting vultures. They're protected. They do a service to society.
They have a job. Yes, they have a job.
But there's, tree vultures too. Like if your only skill is tree removal, even if it's not your only skill, we're going into winter. Okay. Winter is coming. Winter for arborists is really slow. Not me, because I don't do tree work. But there's reasons. But winter for arborists is really slow. And so if this guy's hungry, there's going to be bias. Even if he's competent, even if he can offer you great quality tree care. One, it may not be in season. If the tree's not vigorous, it's not going to uptake the right juice anyway. So you're not going to inject soil with all sorts of stuff in the winter because it's not going to uptake. So you're precluded from doing a ton of these quality treatments anyway. And then in winter, it's like, well, what do? Pruning?
Right.
Not really. Nobody's thinking about it for one. And then there's other scientific reasons.
They should be.
Removal. It's removal. Yeah. And so these guys are, putting Christmas on a credit card. And they come to your house wanting a free opinion.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about that earlier. Is free opinions? They're there to sell you something. They're not just doing that out of the goodness of their heart. They have a play here.
If they're in their late 60s,
maybe
they might be. A lot of guys at that age, good tree people they don't retire. They die.
Yeah, that's my plan.
So, there's some legends out there that are just going to be honest with you all the time, but they're rare, and they usually don't last too long at really salesy jobs because they're not pushing anymore. But anyway, I think there's real viability with the commoditization of this digital consulting type thing. Obviously, there's limitations. We've talked about them, but there's a real argument to say this could save you real money. It's going to send you in the right direction. Even if you're somewhat local, driving time is money. Yeah. You charge for a consult because you're going to be unbiased. Yes, you might. You're like Matt might be able to actually provide the service he's recommending, but it's not his number one prerogative, right? And so a remote consult's it's going to give you an opinion. Probably the majority of the time it's going to be quite accurate. And even if it can't be fully diagnosed, he's going to put you on a path where at least you've got your antennas up and the BS factor is going to be noticeable to you now. Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I love doing is not just being there and identifying the problem. I want to teach this person about their tree while we're talking. And we got about 15, 20 minutes to do so. So I don't have a lot of time typically.
Yeah, let's roll into your normal spiel because that was fun. And we talked for a while, man.
We did. We said 20 minutes. We went double that, man. I love it.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I hope
that's okay, man.
These
are really important things because
I hope you can pull some snippets for some shorts. Don't use the two names of companies that I mentioned. They have their niche. They have their niche and they do great work. But again, grass and trees are usually in competition. So if somebody's selling you a product for your grass, for your lawn, there may be
probably
an inverse.
Not great for your trees.
Yeah, it's they're providing what they're saying they're going to provide. It's just there are unintended consequences that you should know before you sign up for something like that.
Well, like I said, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And tree cutters, tree climbers, tree fellers, tree pruners, whatever, they have a service to sell you. Lawn care people, they have a service to sell you. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are considering all of the other surrounding factors. So, for example, my mold consultant comes in and he tells me, well, your house is toast because they designed it wrong. Well, the AC guy, he may not be thinking about the insulation and the fact that they completely sealed off the attic of the house and what effect that has on the mold situation. Turns out it's not good. You need fresh air to control mold. And so that is, but what I'll tell you, that AC runs really pristinely. It runs really well. Meanwhile, my family's suffering because of the mold. So it's important to factor all of these things in because it's all cyclical. This is not just one tree or this one grass or this one azalea or rhododendron or whatever. They're all in the same ecosystem. They all share space. So it's important. You want to have a good landscaper. You want to have a good foundation guy. You want to have a good plumber and you want to have a good arborist. And somebody said hiring your landscaper to take care of your trees is like hiring your dentist to do your brain surgery. They probably have the right tools, like that's the reality of the matter. They probably have the tools necessary to get the job done. But should you trust it? No, I would never hire my podiatrist to do my heart surgery, whatever.
Yeah. I love it. I have a rule with PhDs. If we're not talking about your field, I'm not calling you doctor.
That's great. Yep.
Call me rude, but I worked hard for this degree. Yeah, well, the topic isn't, if we're not talking about your field of expertise, you're just another person.
It's funny you say that. I met with my pastor. His name is Stephen, and we went and got coffee at Starbucks. What is it? How do you pronounce it? Whatever. And he and so the lady asked, "Is it Stephen with a V or with a PH?" And he's a doctorate. And he said PH, and I said, "Isn't it PhD?" And he says, "Not at Starbucks." So that's actually right. Okay, well done, man.
Yeah, the humble ones are great.
Yeah,
let's roll in and help your constituents, man. They're not paying you right now, but it's fun.
Are you kidding me?
Well, that's the other thing. This is unpaid. Any advice here is unpaid. I am not doing any like fact witnessing. Nope, nothing.
Right.
Just putting it out there. If your tree falls and hurts somebody, I'm not a fact witness.
Amen. And y'all can't be holding us liable. This is free service advice. Yeah. We're just here helping people with their trees because we love people and we love trees. And that's really the point in all of this. And like you said, that's why we do the digital consulting.
Trees make people's lives better.
They really do.
We ought to make trees' lives better too.
So many. Because here's the thing. Y'all be selfish about it if you want. Trees will help you have better focus, less ADD symptoms, less depression, less suicidal rates.
We need them more in
crime.
Schools. More in schools, man.
We need them more in schools. Sprout,
and prisons.
You can't see this, but Sprouting Arborist he's a high schooler, I think, right? And he's over there helping. I'm really excited because, man, if you turn out to be an arborist, dude, you're going to go far learning this stuff from us. Like, you're going on the right path, and keep that up, Sprout.
Until really you're 30, just view it as on-the-job paid training. On
the job paid training. That's what when I was
stop growing, move.
Yeah, when I was competing climbing trees, it was every day was a competition, and once we got to competition, it was just another day at the office. Okay, that's the way we viewed it, and it's really like that. Is every day, try to get better, try to grow, because what we're doing is important as ecologists or foresters or arborists or whatever you want to call us. I don't do this for the trees. Trees are cool. I do this because trees benefit. Well, yeah, they're important. They're an important part of what we do, right? Those are our patients essentially.
No, but
what I
ultimately
do,
it's to serve the people.
It's to serve the people, because trees are so good for people. And that's why I did the Save Montrose Live Oak stuff. Is these builders are coming in and they've got multi-million-dollar projects, and they're saying, hey, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. It's like they're saying we're biased because we want to keep the trees. It's like, who's the one with the multi-million-dollar contract at risk here, y'all?
Most of my clients are developers, actually. So
yeah, I didn't say that.
It's a fine line.
You didn't say that. I did.
Fine line.
It is.
There's competing interests. There's competing interests, but there's a lot of folks that understand trees offer real value. If people value trees, developers will too.
They really, yeah. If they're in it for the right reasons.
Let's go. I've been dying to do this, man.
Dang,
putting it off.
I'm sorry. I'm
20 minutes.
I'm slacking. That's 25 now. Look at us.
You gotta help some people, man.
You get a bunch of tree nerds up in here, and we start talking, man. It's game over. All right, so let's roll right into it. Eric Cooper is concerned about sugar maple limbs unaliving. Remember that term, Michael. We got to use that a lot.
Okay.
I live in central Indiana. Thank you. We just talked about location is important. Thank you, Eric. That's wonderful. We are in early September. Giant branch has had all its leaves wither. I realized we haven't had any meaningful rain since July. Very concerned. So that's July, August, September. That's 2 months of not meaningful rain. That's a long time.
I think you have a dead branch.
Yeah, I think it's an unalive branch.
Oh my goodness!
You're good.
I did it already.
I really don't
batting care. 0 out of 1. Okay, no. So maples can get messy.
Yeah.
And they do require more pruning than some oaks, probably on a typical basis. I would probably say this may not be the worst thing. You may actually need some canopy thinning, but just make sure you do the 3-cut, drop crotch prune. Go to ISA, treesaregood.org, and there is a tree owner's guide. I think that would be really beneficial. Even if you're just having deadwood removed, which pretty much any arborist can do, hand them a printed copy of how to make a stinking cut, and ask them, hey, have a laser pointer. Go on Amazon, spend the $15 for a ridiculously illegal bright laser pointer.
They are too.
And have them point, and when they're bidding the work, and have them point and say, well, how would you cut it? Where would you cut it? And if they don't cut it at the proper angle at the branch collar, don't hire them. So educate yourself here, treesaregood.org. Actually hand them the laser and say, so where would you cut that limb?
I like that. Yeah, micromanage your tree guys. First of all,
if they leave an oval cut and they make it flush to the, I'm gonna clean it up. I'm gonna make it flush so it's nice and straight. No, don't hire them. There's a way the tree responds, and study up. We're not gonna talk about it anymore. Just study up. And the laser pointer it's a great tool, y'all.
I will say this too. So I'm seeing some comments here. It looks like fire blight of some sort. Well, Fifi, nothing personal. Not trying to knock on you here, but fire blight is only prunus species. or rosacea or prunus. I'm drawing a blank here. Anyways, it's going to affect your apples. It's prunus. It's apples, obviously cherries, pears, things like that. And so fire blight is really species specific. And so I don't think that's fire blight. Maybe there's some hybrid that crossed, species and it's new or something.
I'd be curious on this tree to see if there was another limb right underneath the limb that died, because the way nutrients flow up the tree, it can get it can get diverted on a limb before it gets up to the next limb, because it's flowing up the trunk of the tree and then it diverts on those limbs. That's why sometimes you see those lower limbs so huge, because they're catching it first. So anyway, I'd be curious.
I do want to caution, because one guy's on here saying verticillium. Well, It's really, really basically impossible, except for a few specific pathogens, to be able to say that. And so what I would
It's just one branch.
It's just one branch. Verticillium wilt typically affects multiple areas.
It's isolated. Usually pests or something a fungal or bacterial, it's not going to be so isolated to a branch and subsequent branching, right?
And that's a specific site. Well, and it's kind of the opposite, actually. So abiotic disorders are typically holistic. So you're going to see multiple, like one half of the tree or one side of the tree or something like that. Most of the biotics are going to be more individual limb specific. So it could be for verticillium wilt. I don't know enough to know. But
I would still properly cut the branch. If you want to send it in to an ag extension to find out if it's verticillium wilt, that'd be great. Follow up.
That would be my recommendation. I think you're spot on, Michael. Is send it to your ag extension. I listed a what's your name? Eric. Sorry, Eric.
Indiana.
Yeah. So Indiana. That's going to be, just go on this list. You've got it's all itemized by. That's Purdue. That's Lindsay Purcell's turf.
Dude, you're going to be fine.
You got the best arboriculture in the U.S. over there.
Cheers to Lindsay Purcell.
Maybe George was pretty good up there too. And I'm a Texan, so all right.
Yeah, legends up there. Leverage the ag extension.
You really do.
Next.
All right, we're moving on. Hope that helps, Eric. All right, so Al Garvey Tree Care, thanks for the adding to the group. I'd like to share a sustainable education program. Dear all, that's not a tree question. Mike Mack, I have a sidewalk that goes very near a huge mature tree, probably almost 100 years old. What do you mean by that? Unfortunately, the sidewalk is uneven and made of large stones. I want an uneven concrete sideway all the way to the house porch. Man, I can't read today. There are no alternative routes. The current walkway has caused at least one fall. That's a problem, actually.
I can speak to this.
That's a big problem, and I'm going to let you, and then I'm going to add my 2 cents too. All right, so Michael, take it away. What are you thinking here?
Do some hand excavation, figure out where the big roots are. Obviously, you might be limited by what cities allow, but there are real solutions out there. If you're allowed to change the grade, there's some pretty good solution with Tree Ram root aeration matting. It's an advanced version. If you go to like treeram.com, it's pretty cool. There's actual aeration pipes and stuff, but it kind of looks like you've got roots in the way. So you would want to, if you could, build it up and have your foundational aggregate down there with a barrier, and then pave it on top of that. A little bit of undulation. Obviously, you got to maintain ADA and all that, and you might have to permit it. You may even
I believe ADA is 12 to 1.
Yeah,
so 1 inch of rise to 12 inch run.
You're gonna need a contractor that understands this stuff. Another option, it's more expensive, but there are pervious pavers, pervious paving solutions out there. Capitol FlexiPave. He is the owner of that, is actually an ASCA RCA, and I think he's a BCMA as well. Capitol FlexiPave, that one.
See that? Pulling it up now.
That it's fully pervious. Water's going to get down there. It's H20 rated for load ratings, so a fire truck could drive on it under, if you follow their specs for underlayment, which you probably wouldn't for a sidewalk. But these are real options. Another is, if this is just a sidewalk and it's only regulated by like an HOA, not a city, you can do boardwalk or something like that. It's just kind of a maintenance issue. I would really look into seeing if you can build up, but don't just let people just trench. It needs to be whatever it is, needs to be hand dug.
Yeah, I agree 100%. If you can get an air spade out there, that's even better.
Yeah.
An air spade is basically, if you think of like a compressed water, like a pressure washer, it's basically the same thing, but with air. And so what we can do is we can use that to essentially excavate all the roots without causing any significant damage.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of the smaller fibrous roots are going to be maybe desiccated a little bit, but those are cheap and easy for the tree to replace. What you don't want to do is hit those big roots, because that can cause structural issues.
The anchoring,
The anchoring, you want your okay. So, and this is maybe a little biology lesson too, is right around the base of the tree is what's called the root plate. And generally, most of the texts that I've read, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong here, most of them say it's going to be about 5 times the diameter of the diameter of the tree. So if you got a 12-inch tree, you want to make sure you're radius 5 inches away from the trunk wherever you do your excavating or cause damages to roots.
Yeah, if you see wind-thrown trees, that tracks.
Yeah. If you can stay outside of that 5 times the diameter of the tree at 4.5 feet above ground, that's DBH, then you're generally not going to cause significant structural damage. That doesn't mean the tree can't fall.
A 20-inch tree, 100 inches away from it, radius, is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, and that seems like a lot, but
I'm
telling you, there are.
Everybody's seen trees fail in the wind or stuff like that, and a big old mound and stuff. Yeah, no, that tracks. All right.
Yeah, this is fun. I don't know if you can see this, Michael, but Sprouting Arborist been hanging out with us. He's I told you a little bit about him. I watched a video, made a semi-local arborist game of trees.
Yeah, airspace can be messy.
Airspace, and it's so funny that he said that, because I've been saying that for a year. Airspace is exhilarating the first time. After that, it's just a disaster.
Do it in a traffic cone.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I learned that from Bartlett, actually. I watched them on. We were doing what's the November 11th thing where we go into trees at national veteran cemeteries.
Okay.
What's the word I'm looking for?
On the side note, contractors often can remove soil with slurry pit, like not slurry in the sense, but they actually like add water and will get it wet and vacuum up the mud. And so that's another option. You just want to make sure they're not using such high pressure stuff that they're cutting accidentally. But that's a viable option, and a lot of construction guys, that's what they use. They don't have an air spade.
Yeah, and that's great too, as long as you're non-invasive. And so I put a link to the under Mike's post here. I put a link to a video I did about root bridging, and that's another one that's we talk about it in ASCA a lot. I've never heard ISA guys talk about it. I've never heard TCIA guys talk about it. I think we should be talking about it, because it's really a very viable option for doing that. What you're talking about is preserving the root. You basically bolt steel onto the root, and then you pour over that. And so what happens, the tree's pushing up, it has nowhere to go because it's pushing literally against itself. And as you compartmentalize, it gets stronger.
You definitely, especially if you're paving slab on grade, you need a barrier.
Yeah.
So that concrete doesn't burn. I mean, there's concrete when it's drying and stuff. I don't know if anybody's gotten their wet concrete on their hand, but that nastiness soaks life out of you.
Yeah.
So it'll do the same thing to trees. All right. We've done 2 questions now.
All right, I'm gonna have to do another live stream this week or something.
All right, this one's all
We're good, dude. This has been a blast, and we'll get some good footage, and we'll actually make some of this as like educational content within the group. So,
what kind of tree? This thing's been topped, bro.
That's a redbud or a catalpa, I believe.
Probably a catalpa.
I see.
I don't think redbuds get diameters that big, man.
Y'all know about that's redbud right there.
Oh, okay, that's a better picture.
Yeah, that's a redbud of some sort, but I don't know. This is a different tree. Those are 2 different trees. That's a catalpa. And catalpa, yes, does grow. You said Oklahoma, I think. Yeah, Enid. Yeah, I don't know where that is, but cool. Catalpa will definitely grow in
that thing's over
Oklahoma.
top, man. Look at that.
That is so. Crystal, look up a term called pollarding. It's more of a European style pruning. If you look in national ANSI standards, doesn't exist. But if you look in European standards,
that might have had branch unions that were weak, and in a windstorm or something, it like broke and collapsed, and they just stopped it and was like, well, don't get rid of it, or we can't afford to get rid of it. And a lot of those trees that people are like, they're like, oh, just remove the dead stuff, and they resprout, and you end up with something good. All right, white oak. Is that a chinkapin?
Yes.
Or is that yeah.
I'm seeing sawtooth or chinkapin.
Yeah.
It's in the white oak family, but I'm
it's
not
not
sure.
swamp chestnut. I think it's chinkapin or sawtooth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay, so the question is though, what would cause a white oak seedling leaves to shrink?
16 images. Goodness.
Nice. Well done, yo.
Size. Yeah,
sometimes
let's roll
that's
through
annoying,
them, man.
Sometimes that's annoying. I'm not gonna
Hey,
lie.
don't normally do 16, people. 4 or 5 should be enough, but this is cool.
But I would rather you over picture it than under picture it. We get that question so many times.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's true.
What's wrong with my tree? And it's got one picture of a single leaf. It's like,
what's the question here?
Doesn't tell me. The question is, what would cause it to shrink in size? I'm wondering if, but the size is smaller than they were a few weeks ago. I think that's the leaf size. So what I'm thinking
drought.
maybe desiccation. Yeah, dry.
Well, I mean, if the newer leaves are smaller, they're trying to have less stomata and less surface area so that they're not as much evapotranspiration. They're trying to cling to water. That tree's super exposed to the sun.
And adapting very well, might I add, if it's doing that quickly. Yeah, that's an adaptation trait the trees have. They can change the leaf size, they can change the leaf thickness.
The cuticle layer, the cuticles, basically the waxy layer on the outside. It's not super waxy for this species, but it's a thing. Okay. And it's going to grow slower. If it starts doing this, it's spending its energy to protect itself.
But I will add to that too, is that tree, if it can make it past this point in life and establish itself, is going to be much more adapted to harsh conditions later on.
Fair enough.
Yep, because trees are adaptive. They will grow slower and stronger to adapt to rough conditions like drought. All right, Jean is asking. Jean?
No pictures,
Dripping
man.
Springs. Yeah, I'm wondering, considering widening my driveway entrance, it would cause traffic to go over shallow live oak roots. Would this be too much stress on the tree? Probably. What we need to do, we need to get on a digital arborist consultation and look at that specifically. That is a weighted question.
Yeah, very much so.
I would love
Central
to help
Texas, tree ram, the root aeration matting. You know, a lot of Central Texas, they pave on grade, or they'll use chip seal, or they'll just have, you know, I'm assuming it's going to be a paved, based on him. You know, I'm considering widening my driveway entrance, but depending on what you're using, you know, if you're doing chip seal or something like that. But nonetheless, I would consider trying to see if you could do like a tree ram where, you know, tree roots breathe. There's an exchange of oxygen and stuff. And if you can offer that to the trees and then just add on grade, that's great. But you're expanding an existing driveway, so you probably are trying to maintain a grade, and you're probably trying to get a load rating. Probably the reason you're expanding the driveway is because you have trailers and you might have a load. So the reality is you're probably thinking about excavating. So, dude, figure out the radius or width or whatever that you want and what it's going to take, and see what the impacts to the tree might be. Do some excavating, find those big roots, expose them, spray paint them orange or something, and include that in the pictures for your digital consultation. More information is better. Include some distance measurements, maybe even spray paint every 2 feet or something like that from the radius of the tree, so that you actually have some visual gauge of distance that we can understand the impacts proportionally to this tree. Zoom out, at least for 1 or 2 pictures as well.
Yeah, and that really helps us out. So send us some pictures. Who are you? Gene, send us some pictures or hit me up. I'd love to do a digital arborist consultation with you.
Dude,
that really get a good time together.
Central Texas, Dripping Springs, that tree's probably a nice tree. I just skipped to a digital consultation, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
This is not you're probably dealing with a high enough value tree here that you don't actually want free advice.
Yeah, right. All right, so Anonymous is asking, I'm getting an Eastern Redbud that is about 8 feet tall. It's no longer needed for a decor and film set. It's tall. That's 8 feet.
Wow.
Yep. So what do I need to do to set it up for success this late season? Daily watering. Do not daily water that tree, homie.
Ontario? Don't daily water, yeah. But woo, dude, planting right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't plant it. I would maybe, especially that redbud, Eastern redbud. That is more of a tree that would grow here in Houston, Texas. You don't want to plant that right now. You want to let it get it through winter, and then you want to plant it in the spring, after the last frost, if you can. But honestly, you may be better off bonsaiing that tree. Keep it in the pot forever, because those are not going to like that cold.
Yeah, you're in Ontario, man. I mean, even here in Houston, it's like come November, it's like, that's a little bit late.
Yeah.
You're mid-October in Ontario, man. I'm like, you're drinking ice wine now.
Ice wine.
You ever had ice wine? Dude.
Yeah, never. I kind of want to.
Lake, St. Catharines ice wine. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But the red uses like 47 times the grapes as red wine.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's
pretty cool. 17 degrees. Pick them at 17, crush them at 17.
That's so cool. I got to try that now.
It's the sweetest nectar you've ever eaten. It's like sweeter than honey. Anyway.
All right. So we are okay. Yeah, I think we've covered all of the current ones. Let's go back through and maybe hit a couple of the ones that came in the other day.
Yeah, let's do 2 or 3 more and then call it Christmas or birthday.
Yes, sir. I like it. I remember that. I remember that. Chi-Chi. We talked about Chi-Chi. I learned something new. Y'all, please stump the arborist. I love getting stumped. And then this is your typical tree guy, by the way. The only thing I would add to that is like needles sticking out of his arm and some teeth missing.
And it's not a Home Light brand. It's probably a stolen steel or something.
Yeah, it's probably
I had someone try to steal a chainsaw. I just got it from service, and it fell out of that. I had my tailgate failed, old work truck, and it slid out the back, and I did a U-turn. And as I was doing the U-turn, I saw a trailer, a guy just pick it up and drive off.
Just drove off? Seriously?
I lost sight of him, but I followed him, and I figured I turned in a nice neighborhood and figured they might be working there, and there they were. And I was like, hey,
that's so rude.
Yeah, the
tree guys are the worst,
chainsaw, the NA chainsaw, the Kaye, and they're like, oh, no. I stepped on the wheel of their trailer, and there it was.
Yeah. Did you steal it back?
I stole it back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, okay, y'all. So I have been robbed 3 times in this industry. Once at gunpoint, 2 by my employees. The tree guys are the worst, y'all. I'm telling you. So I are one, so I can say that. I know so many great tree guys. I also know so many shiesty ones. We used to joke, it's like, tree guys don't we don't really hire the doctors and attorneys of the world. Although I don't know that they're much better. They're just more polished sometimes. They have whiter teeth maybe.
They have to be actors too, though.
And they have their teeth. So all right, let's see. I think I got to the point. So I think I remember talking about
down there.
I hope not.
Oh no, that's
Japanese
okay.
Blueberries are the worst. Those are arborvitae, maybe.
Yeah, arborvitae. Okay.
Okay, let's check it out. I was wondering what could possibly go wrong with this arborvitae. Did I comment on that? Lucas, where are you at, man? You're supposed to keep me organized. That's right. He's not here.
I think we're going to have really good comments from our constituents here. I think this is pretty common.
All right, so I was wondering what could possibly be wrong with this giant arborvitae on the left side of the pic. It started to look like this early in the season. I'm in mid-Indiana. I did research on it a bit, and it could be many things. I was just wondering if anybody had an opinion. It would be a shame to lose it. It's a massive row of 6 just like it. Don't know how old it is. The rest of the trees next to it look okay, but there's been a bit more shedding and dropping of small branches this year from a few of them. That looks fungal to me.
Fungal. That's typical for these. It's fungal.
Yeah.
Those Italian
cypress,
those Italian cypress and arborvitae.
This is, I was gonna say that's not Italian cypress, but
similar problems.
Similar problems, similar look too.
They're both great looking trees. People commenting are onto it on this one. This is not an uncommon thing. Don't overwater. Like the overreaction is a real thing with these things. Check the soil moisture. I mean, like, just you don't have to get a moisture meter per se, but
screwdriver, man. Let's take a screwdriver, jam it in the ground. I'm gonna pull that up here, by the way. Yo, we're like growing like crazy. This is probably the most rapid growth I've had in a month. I know that's pathetic because like some of these people
I want to irrigating a tree. When you first plant a tree, like especially like we're in Texas, right? You gotta water it every day the first week, right? And then the second week you might water it every other day or something like that for the next couple of weeks. But your goal is not to have to water this tree all the time.
Yeah.
You know, a good deep watering once a week, once the tree's established, is pretty good. Like for most trees, obviously, different trees have different requirements, but another thing is if you got like compacted soil, like the hill country or something like that,
or Houston,
or soil with like a clay layer, you may have to run your irrigation for a short duration to break the barrier. There's kind of almost like a seal on it. That you want to get some level of soak, so there's that adhesion, water to water. Then you come back, you might do a cycle through your lawn of like 2 minutes per section, and then do your full watering, so that it's not just on and off.
And Michael, I know you know about vertical mulching too. That's one of my favorite ways to bypass that, to where all of a sudden you take a soil that's hydrophobic, where hydro meaning water, phobic meaning doesn't like it. That phobic has changed meanings over the years, but that's different political statement.
Right. Disagree.
Right. Essentially, the water runs off it. And if you've got a heavily compacted clay, I just posted, by the way, Deborah, I just posted about vertical mulching. That's going to be your best friend. Basically drill holes, backfill with compost. That's going to just basically, and it's really, it's good because everything is going to improve, especially sometimes you'll get like big green patches right in that one area where you drilled the hole and backfill with compost.
Monitor the moisture. If you don't have a rain sensor on your irrigation, I mean, so many irrigation things are smart now. Mine's a dummy. Mine's old school, but get a rain sensor, man. Nothing drives me crazier than seeing my HOA paying my money with sprinklers on in the rain.
While it's raining,
or sprinklers on the next morning after a rain or something like that. It's like, it's so wasteful, and it's really not good for your plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and quite frankly, most people
commented on this one.
All right, we were looking to trim this beautiful tree. We would like to keep it from eroding the bricks. When is a good time to trim? How much should we? I like winter as a general rule. Is my preferred most of the time. That's you're talking phenotype versus genotype there. It looks like an Atlas spruce, maybe.
Yeah, it's some kind of spruce.
Blue spruce.
It's cool.
It's a cool looking tree.
So we're further north on this situationship.
Yeah, I like that. Just take a lightsaber off from the brick a few inches every season. I like that, man. Yeah, cauterize it too while you're at it.
Yeah.
Very interesting form and placement for a tree.
Make sure those cuts are clean. Make sure those cuts are clean.
Make sure they're clean. Don't use hedge trimmers. Use like bypass loppers that are going to make a nice clean cut.
I start with hedge trimmers and then I clean up after that.
Oh, good. All right, we'll start with hedge trimmers and then fix your mistakes. That's fair. Yeah, what you want is something that's going to go cleanly past it. Use the blade side on towards the trunk. So what you're going to do is basically that. So you got bypass loppers. So just like on scissors, you've got one side that crosses closer to the right side. So if here's the branch, here's the branch, you want that closer to the trunk. I'm not about to do anything stupid, don't worry. But what's going to happen, that's going to give you a cleaner cut on the trunk side, make less damage to it. But yeah, I usually wait till winter to do most of my print. What's that?
Good tip.
Oh, thank you. I just came up with that one on the fly. I don't think I've ever talked about that, but it's important. What happens when a tree gets trimmed before the frost is done? Oh, that's a really great question, Sprout. I love that. And that's a really great point too. Look at the root flare. Going back to our arborvitae tree back here look at the root flare. You got some buried trees, it looks like. I could be wrong in that, but it almost looks like a root flare, but I'm thinking maybe that's piled up needles.
I don't know, man. If it's fungal, if it's dead, it looks dead. If it's dead, get rid of it, like root and all. And then, if you're curious, man, send a sample to the extension and get back to us. We're stroke our ego, confirm it,
I like it. Yeah, and that's a really good point. Is you want to make sure that the pathogen or pest or whatever it is not going to transfer to other things. So that's a really good point. I should have started with that.
If one's suffering, the others are probably close to suffering.
They're
and
right.
If that fungus is hitting on that one, it's knocking on the door of the other one. So not by the hair of my chinny chin chin.
Right.
Get rid of it.
Right. All right. So Sprout asked a really, really good question. This is something you and I don't deal with a lot, Michael, because we don't have a lot of frost. But up north, every year you're going to deal with it. So he asked, what happens when a tree gets trimmed before the frost is done? That's a very good question, because that actually can be a really good point, is that can do serious damage to a tree by pruning at the wrong time.
Real risk.
And so, yeah. And so what'll happen, you prune it. Now that area is exposed, there's cambium tissue, there's vascular tissue essentially that's exposed. And if you get a freeze, like right after that happens, the tree hasn't had time to, So y'all know water freezes, right?
Get bark breaking off.
Y'all know that water freezes when it freezes, right? It expands, and what can happen, now those cells are exposed to the cold. Now it freezes, and you get frost cracking, you get damaged tissue.
Again, even your competent arborists, a lot of what they can do to make money is not available to them in the winter. Oh my gosh,
you're just preaching to the choir, man. Is they will do the right thing at the wrong time because they're hungry. So common. Let's take a look at one more, and then we are going to call it for the day, you guys. It is my daughter's birthday. I'm being a terrible father here, but she's still napping. I'm gonna hit the snooze button. Snooze button activated.
I'm gonna get ready for Run Club.
Right on. Yeah, you got to go here in a minute anyway.
Thursdays, baby. Every Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Man, I envy you. I used to be able to run. I used to run a 7-minute mile.
Got a shout out to my crew over at Foss Brewery.
I used to, I used to run on like the, what do they call the mud runs and all that, the obstacle runs. And we'd do like 12 miles, whatever. And I used to win trophies and medals and stuff. Look at me now, y'all. I got consulting too much. I gotta get out and run. Yeah, back in my day, I'm not getting younger, y'all. All right, so Nadine's asking, great last name, by the way. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And you're from Iowa. Iowa's a cool state. I didn't realize Iowa was a cool state. I thought it was just corn and hillbillies, but y'all are awesome. We love Iowa. I mean, what are you gonna do? You know, everybody thinks everybody from Texas wears cowboy hats and rides a horse to work or whatever, and that's just not true. All right, so this is our swamp white oak. Yes, it is. Planted last year. We have two. This one has a problem.
Please tell me it'll survive. Dude, that thing looks chlorotic.
It is very chlorotic. Thanks for any advice. Fairfax, Iowa. Nadine, I think what's going on is you got a really, really poorly planted tree. You're going to have to do some things to increase the microbial activity in the soil, increase the organic matter in the soil. Here's what I would recommend.
Look at that, Rebecca, dude. The first comment on that's like straight in line with what you're saying.
What are we talking here, Rebecca?
We got some people picking up.
I love it.
Down, dude.
Well done, Rebecca. Keep that up.
Sorry, go back to your. Go back to doing whatever Rebecca already did. I see a lot of weeds around it too. I think this thing might be overwatered a little bit.
I think there's
lush grass.
Very poor planting, very poor management. Get some mulch, get those weeds and all that out of there. Root flare. Oops, all caps. Even Sprouts over here. Root flare. That's gonna be. We need to make like a meme or a hashtag or something. Isn't that what the cool kids are doing?
It's too low.
I see too many deep trees. Me too. Okay, so I think it's Rebecca, right? You're gonna have to
do one more.
We can. I don't see why not. Why, you see something?
Hey,
if you see, I'm telling you, dude, I love this.
We'll have to come up with we'll have to come up with another topic. There's so many.
Yeah. Oh man, you and me, we're dangerous together coming up with topics.
Yeah.
All right. So Sprout's absolutely spot on. Rebecca is absolutely spot on. Rebecca, keep sticking around and learning. Like, yeah, way to go. That's fantastic. Like, light green, that's what chlorosis means. Grass fertilizer, aka tree unaliver. Beware. I don't know I'll handle that at my house.
Yeah,
that could be an herbicide thing too.
The fertilizer can burn trees too.
Absolutely.
So there might be a little bit of burning there, but honestly, the yellowing, it is fall. I'm not sure exactly when this picture was actually taken, but it is fall. These trees are gonna have some color up there.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But that being said, the obvious thing is it's planted a little too low. This tree, I wouldn't adjust the planting right now. I wouldn't. I don't know.
That's fair.
But you're going into a hard time of the year. But
look at that beautiful grass, though, man. I think they may be onto something with the herbicide. I'm wondering, because that's really deep, dark color of green, and then right around there is not. I'm wondering.
On a tree that size, if you're gonna do herbicide, I mean, like before you broadcast the herbicide, like put a big old trash can upside down over the thing, so you at least don't get that close.
Yeah, it'll still go, depending on what it is. It still can become systemic and go through the roots, but yeah, you're going to avoid a lot of the contact herbicide damages.
Or
man, we're getting some awesome advice
when you're doing it next to it and work around it. Put a shield or something. I don't know. Because that grass.
Oh no! I know why you wanted to do one more. I see why you wanted to. There's actually I know Shane. I know you, dude. I'm watching you. I see you, homie. You're cool right now, but keep playing. Don't play games, dude.
When I moved into my house, I got 60-foot lots. There were 4 live oaks between my driveway and the other driveway. There's still 3, and that's 1 too many. It's probably 2 too many, but I need to have 1 at least. But hey, Ashton, you're out there. I haven't forgot. Once I get that one removed, you're coming over, and you're coming over on the weekend, and you're gonna do some structural pruning. I'm gonna point with the laser. You're gonna work. We
used to charge you all the pointers. We call you, as we used to charge you a PITA charge. I'd even put them in my account for my company. PITA, pain in the butt, is what that stands for.
I factor in when I do tree inventories. I factor in a summer factor.
Oh, that's a good point.
A client BS factor.
Oof,
that's of course a distance factor as well. But all those things are percentage markups that I kind of have for my estimation over here. But I'm that guy that stands there with a laser pointer and tells other people what to do when I've never climbed a tree myself.
Well, we need to go recreational climbing one of these days. We gotta get you up there. In the words of Guy Mayer, how do you pronounce it? I'm sorry, Guy. I love you. You're a phenomenal arborist. Also, Moyer? I don't know. Guy, Tree Guy. We'll call him Tree Guy.
Hey, so phonetically spell it for us, sir. We would appreciate it, so we're not, grasping. Like my last name, just ignore the E and you'll say it right.
Gabrielse, yeah. I think somebody else actually told me that, not you, because I pronounced it wrong, and they were like, no, it's just Gabrielse. It's real simple. Oh, Heather McKnight, Leak City Arborist.
Well,
all right, y'all. Well, we're going to call it for the night. It has been real, you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
One more plug for remote consulting, the commoditization of competency. And look, it can't solve all the problems, but it can put you in the right direction.
Yes.
Just like getting a second opinion on your car when you think you've got a huge repair at the dealership. Even if you got to pay for it, get a second opinion. At the very least, you'll be more educated to make better decisions about what's prudent as a tree owner. But in probably a lot of scenarios, it'll either save your tree or save you a lot of money.
So that's the key. That's why we do this, is because you may spend 100, 200, 300, whatever dollars on a consultant, but you're going to save so much money oftentimes you may be spending $400 or $500 a week or a month on water. We're going to come in and say, hey, do the exact same amount 1 day a week, and it's going to save you a ton of money. Or the exact, maybe step up the amount that you're putting down, but do it 1 day a week. You're going to get better results with your yard, with your trees, etc. And like that offset money is going to come almost instantly, like the next month. So we don't do this. Obviously, we've all got families to feed. We all want to go to work and earn money. That's important as human beings. But what we're not out there doing is just taking your money and just giving you terrible advice. We want to make it way more valuable for you as the end user. And quite frankly, you got to live around your trees a lot longer than I have to deal with them. So we want to make sure that you're set up for success. And what is that? An ounce of prevention or a few dollars spent equates to a pound of repair. That's what we're in this for, is to help you as the homeowner, as the human who loves the trees that you live under and around. We want to make sure that you've got a better home environment that you can enjoy instead of having to deal with. So that's why we do what we do. Hey,
it's a great group. Thanks for inviting me. It's
absolutely, Michael.
It's really
great to
fun.
Have you. I agree.
It's really fun to see also that so many of your constituents on this forum are chiming in with competent, well-learned advice. And I don't know, they might be picking up what you're laying down. You might be out of a job soon, buddy.
I'm good with that. That means I did my job right, you guys. So keep on sticking around. If you got questions or need help with your trees, hit us up on the web at arboristondemand.com. We can always do a digital consultation and figure out what exactly it is that's bugging, there's a pun in there somewhere, your tree. So we'd love to help you out, make the right decisions with your trees if you need it. And if you don't, just ask us a simple question here. We're happy to help anyway. So we love you guys.
Biology's slowing down right now too. So this may be your last hoorah to do some of the microlife products that he's got. So Matt, plug on the microlife products. This may be the last hoorah for a lot of you guys before dormancy.
Yeah. And that's not to say that they're not going to get benefits. Most of those benefits are going to go towards root growth and towards feeding microflora and things like that. Not so much towards the actual tree growing, but it's still a good idea through the winter. You want to keep watering. It doesn't hurt to add some compost and mulch to that soil. That's going to help feed those microbes and recreate kind of a forest floor environment. And like you said, Microlife Humates Plus, that's one of my favorite products on this planet. Super concentrated steroids, in a bottle for trees.
And they're not chemicals, so it's not going to fry your tree.
Right. It's only going to help. You literally can do no harm with doing this. So I've dumped almost an entire gallon in one area just to test it. And actually that area I have problems with, or not a gallon, a quart rather. I dumped a whole quart in one section of my yard, and it grows 10 times as fast as everything else.
Well,
thank you guys so much, Michael. Thanks so much for being here. It has been a joy and a pleasure, my friend. And I'm sure we'll have you on very soon.
We'll come up with another topic. We'll keep it to 20 minutes next time.
Yeah, 20 minutes next time. Thanks so much for being a part of this group and making this an awesome community, guys. And we will see you next week. Bye now.
Bye.